Hi, everyone. You're watching episode 56 of Yield TV. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. It is January 6th, 2021. And today we are going to talk all about Yield Guild, which is a play-to-earn gaming guild with an emphasis on the metaverse. So joining us today is the co-founder of Yield Guild, Gabby Dizon.
Dizon, yeah.
Okay, man, I'm going to butcher it no matter what. And the co-founder and managing director of Scalar Capital, Linda Shea. So welcome to Yield TV, guys. How are you doing?
Really good.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to pretend like we didn't just talk for 15 minutes and catch up. Anyways, yeah, we're going to explore more of this concept of play to earn. Previously, we had Jeff on from Axie Infinity, and he did help me to learn more about how you can play Axie Infinity. And he was telling me a lot about the inspiring story that starts with you, Gabby, with building a community that is not only online, but also in the Philippines, and getting more folks in your community to play and to earn a living. So we'll make sure we cover that today. But maybe we should start with, I'd love to just let everyone learn about how each of you got into crypto, and then of course lead into how we all got fascinated with NFTs and Yield Guild. So Linda, do you want to start? You are the OG of OGs here. I feel like I'm with you first.
Yeah, so I kind of came across Bitcoin in 2011, wrote an economics paper on it. Back then it was pretty shady, so I didn't really think too much of it, just followed it along the side. Ended up working in traditional finance. And when I was working in finance at AIG, it was really clear to me that we needed something like Bitcoin, but I just wanted there to be some legitimacy around it. And then when Coinbase came along, I thought they were a really important player in the space because they were actively trying to work with different merchants to have them accept Bitcoin, and also just work with regulators, educate them. So ended up joining them early on and did a bunch of different roles there. And most recently was product manager, and then left in 2017 to start Scalar Capital. We invest in different crypto stuff. I'm really interested in NFTs. I grew up playing Pokemon and Magic, and also Hearthstone. So I love the world of just being able to have these cards and trade them and collect them. And so I think my first foray into NFTs was Gods Unchained, and so I spent a ton of time playing that. And I have over time also learned a lot more about the NFT art space and social tokens. And so I think there's just such a really amazing community in the NFT space. So it's been spending increasingly more time there. Gabby also taught me a lot about NFTs, so I'm really excited to hear more from him. So yeah, it's kind of high level on me.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Also, Linda is an investor in Zapper. So I guess I followed you, Linda, for really since I got into crypto, just because you guys had a really special team there at Coinbase. And I don't know if in 2017, when I first got into crypto, I think you were still there, right? Or were you just?
Yeah, I was mostly, for most of 2017, I was Coinbase, yeah.
Yeah. And then funny coincidence, I think me, Linda, and Will, your partner, Will, who is the co-founder of the 0x project, we were all at UCSD at the same time in San Diego, just coincidentally, which I have lamented many times to my wife, God, if I had only just randomly run into them and just learned. Anyways, thanks so much, Linda. Gabby, do you want to tell us more about your background and how you got into crypto?
Sure. So I come into crypto from a long career in game development. So I started making games in 2003. 2014 started a mobile game studio called Altitude Games. So yeah, we were just making mobile games for iOS and Android. And then in 2017, we heard about the concept of Ethereum and smart contracts. And I'd heard about Bitcoin before then, but wasn't so interested because it was mainly used for remittances in the Philippines. And I really come from a developer background, not from the fintech space. So it wasn't until we learned about the concept of smart contracts and Solidity that we started playing around with it. And it was while we were doing that experimentation that CryptoKitties came out of ETH Waterloo, and I would say it was like late 2017. And it was such a light bulb moment. And while we were thinking about how crypto could potentially disrupt the game industry, CryptoKitties came out, and yeah, that was just so inspiring. And really just decided to go kind of really deep into NFTs since then.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. And so when was Yield Guild started?
So it was just started actually late last year. Before that, I shipped a couple of blockchain games with Altitude Games. So we have a game called Battle Racers that is on the Decentraland, and we're also working with Sandbox. Also part of the Blockchain Game Alliance as one of the founding board members. So yeah, like just any NFTs are my jam, and I can talk about it all day.
Why don't we start then with what does play to earn mean? There are many out there who are just not familiar with, maybe they're not as much of a gamer or play to earn gamer. So would love to learn about that. And also too, was curious, like how long has play to earn gaming existed?
Sure. So play to earn started because I think it actually started with CryptoKitties because you could breed CryptoKitties and basically sell them, and then people started realizing that if you could find NFTs that other people found valuable, you can actually kind of earn a living off them, and it has really progressed like all the way since then 3 years ago. So the very interesting thing about Axie Infinity was that they had an ERC20 resource called SLP or Small of Potion that you could win by actually playing games while using your NFTs. So you buy your NFTs, so 3 axes to make a team, and then you play in the arena PvP. And then if you win against someone else, then you win the small love potions. And because they are ERC20 resources, then you can exchange them for ETH on Uniswap, and then eventually out to fiat. So that was really what I would say accelerated play to earn last year. And coupled with the fact that we were in lockdown, a lot of people were just stuck at home, a lot of people didn't have jobs. Yeah, it really just exploded last year.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's been a life raft for certain folks. And I guess, Linda, do you want to weigh in on this as well? Like anything else that you've been following on the play to earn side? Like, I guess any other, do you go back to just, is it CryptoKitties? Like, I guess I never realized like it's that recent that CryptoKitties is like the spawn of all of this. And now we've got Axie, of course, and we've got a few other games here hopefully we can cover today.
Yeah, I think the only one I mean, it definitely is like more of a recent thing in like within like blockchain gaming, but I think that Gods Unchained is a good example of it because like the cards are like can be quite expensive to build a deck, and you have to actually have a lot of cards, and you can actually earn cards within the game. And so the nice part about that is that like let's say you don't have a bunch of money, like but you're a really good player, you can actually earn cards through that process. And they also have like the ability to earn tokens for like referring people, which then you can use those tokens to unlock newer cards or like other items. So I think that I really like that concept of kind of like leveling the playing field for people who might not have a bunch to start with.
Actually, can either of you specify how much is that income if you had to estimate, like how much can one earn monthly? Because again, I recognize not everyone lives in the United States. We're talking about the Philippines and all other parts of the world that have access to this. I mean, that's kind of the magic of Ethereum as long as you have internet. But yeah, I'm curious to know, like, what sort of like income level are we talking about?
So it varies greatly, I guess, on what you are doing. Specifically, in the case of earning SLP, there was a time last year when people were basically earning maybe something like $300 to $500 a month from playing Axie Infinity and earning SLP. And the crazy part about that is that average minimum wage here is around $200 a month. So in many cases, people were actually earning more than minimum wage, and a lot of them had lost their jobs. So yeah, it was really a lifesaver for a lot of people. Of course, there are other ways to do play to earn as well. So for example, I was a breeder in Axie Infinity. I was breeding Axies and then selling them to people in the marketplace. There was a time when ETH was a lot cheaper. I was making something like maybe 10 ETH a month selling, breeding and selling axes.
Wow.
Yeah, like I'm too busy for that now. But yeah, there's really a variety of ways to kind of engage in a play to earn economy, and that's why we kind of relate what we're doing to jobs in the metaverse. It's not simply just battling other people. Some people may be breeding, some people may be crafting items for others to use. Like there's a whole, I guess, a lot of jobs that are needed to build up the metaverse economy. And that's the fun part about that, is that, yeah, it's not necessarily I'm battling another person. It's really building a whole economy around play to earn.
Do you see a parallel between play to earn and anything else that we could relate it to that might help folks to come up to speed faster on like what it is and how it works?
Well, in I guess before blockchain games, there were people who were basically power leveling in MMOs like World of Warcraft, where
Yeah.
they would basically pay someone else to level up their character. So that would, I guess, be the kind of closest analog to that. There was also an auction house in Diablo that was discontinued, for example, because I guess it wasn't designed to be kind of play to earn at the start. So I would say that play to earn isn't necessarily a kind of blockchain specific phenomenon, but because the items are on blockchain, then it makes trading so much easier and permissionless, and the payments are instant. You don't get to violate the terms of service, for example, for selling an item on eBay. So it's really just democratized the way that people are paying for assets within games, and it just makes it kind of specific that you own this item and you can actually sell it if you want.
Yeah. Before we talk more about like how you're building a play to earn community with Yield Guild, Linda, I'm curious, as co-founder of Scalar, any like investment theses that you can share on the play to earn space? I guess like, does your fund, do you have exposure to this space, or even like would be curious to learn like personally like how you viewed CryptoKitties and Gods Unchained and Axie like over the years? Is this like something that you see folks like diversifying their portfolio into for different exposure?
Yeah, so we have made some NFT like DAO type investments in Scalar, and then I've considered the idea of like owning NFTs directly, but I think that we aren't like the experts in those games specifically, so I would rather outsource that to like a community and have them be the ones. So I really like the idea of investing in maybe like indices where like something like Whale Shark has like all of these different NFT collections, and we can maybe have access to that. I think that in terms of like diversifying the portfolio, we have seen a number of different funds actually invest directly in NFTs. So Defi Digital with buying the Axes that was like over
The
100.
Mystic Axes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so that was interesting. I saw that one confirmation just bought a piece of art, and then I've also talked to a bunch of other funds that are either commissioning art or buying art. So I think that we'll see an increasing amount of funds doing that and diversifying their portfolio. CryptoKitties, like on a personal level, like I've owned a bunch of different like CryptoKitties and Gods Unchained cards. Some of them can be like extremely expensive, and so it's I think there's like a lot of opportunity there, but we just don't do it through the fund right now.
Yeah. I'm curious, the Whale Shark index that you reference, is that live? Like I remember hearing about this. Like, can you invest in this index of all that Whale Shark has collected?
Is it what's the actual name? Because I know the ticker is Whale, right?
Yes, the ticker is Whale. So Whale Shark is, I would say, it's a social community that is backed by basically Whale Shark as an individual investing in a lot of NFTs. He has a great taste for art, for example, and has been one of the largest art collectors in the space. He's also invested in a lot of land in the different kind of metaverse, like Sandbox, for example. So yeah, so I think Whale Shark is probably the earliest example of something that you could think of as an NFT index that is backed by a token.
Very interesting. Well, let's talk about Yield Guild. So how are you building a play to earn community with Yield Guild? Like how could someone get involved with it?
Sure. So think of it as a play to earn community where people come in because they are interested in playing all of these different games where people can basically earn tokens or earn NFTs from playing. So definitely our roots strongly come from Axie Infinity. We're also very interested in other games like Formula One, Delta Time, Ember Sword, for example, Sandbox, League of Kingdoms. So yeah, we kind of bring the people together and then organize people to kind of play these games and also um, earn earn money for the community. And how we do it is that there are different I guess subgroups within the community. Um, for example, there are people who are interested in the esports part, playing tournaments, earning prizes. So they're kind of organized around training together and doing that. Some people are playing in an alliance in League of Kingdoms. League of Kingdoms, you can own some land, and then the land earns you passive DAI rewards when people spend money in the game. And what we want to do is that each of these little sub communities will have their own kind of governance structure, and the guild itself invests in the underlying NFTs that can power these communities. So if it's an Axie Infinity, it's probably Axie's. League of Kingdoms or Sandbox will probably going to invest in land, and then we'll let players kind of develop the land on top of that, earn money on top of it, and it also improves the kind of the value of the underlying NFTs that we have.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's kind of the model in that you're actually building the economy in the metaverse by playing it, by developing value on top of it, by having the players earn money on top of it, and it's like onboarding these people to kind of think of it when America was discovered and people basically had a
Yeah,
lot of jobs to onboard to basically build a country. That's how I'm viewing it and how we are building the metaverse and bringing all of these people in.
Um,
that's
I, I had
cool.
a question on that. Like, how are you attracting these players? Like, are they already crypto native? Like, they're familiar with this and finding you? Like, how do you attract that? And is it like the community mostly based in the Philippines? Like, what does that community look like as well?
Sure. So definitely, a lot of the early community come from the Axie Infinity community. From there, we've actually seen a lot of people who have been discovering Axie Infinity and Play to Earn via Facebook groups, for example.
Mm.
It's very common here in the Philippines where people post the things that they've been able to buy because of Axie Infinity. So sometimes it's a wad of cash, or sometimes it's like,
Wow.
oh, I was able to buy a phone, I was able to buy a food, and they post it on Facebook. Their friends see it, and of course, some people are like, wait, is that a scam? Or I want to learn more. And then when they
Yeah. Yeah. Oh shoot, Linda, can you hear him?
I
Did he?
can't. I think
Oh,
your mic cut out.
yeah, I
oh,
think
sorry.
there we go. Now you're back. Yeah, Gabby.
Okay. Yeah. So the interesting thing is that a lot of people in our guild, they're actually new to crypto. They're probably not new to games. They're used to playing games. But this is the first time for a lot of these gamers that they're actually interacting with a blockchain. First time to use MetaMask, learning what a private key is. So there's also a lot of education along the way, and kind of the older players teaching the newer players how to interact with crypto. So there's really a lot of that happening as well, and which is really cool because
Wow.
we're actually onboarding a lot of people who have never been in crypto before.
Any like lessons you can take from that to share with us? Like what's working? What makes the light bulb go off? Is it just the economic opportunity to earn that drives someone to keep learning with you until they can do the job, or is there any other sort of like magic you can share to how you're onboarding?
Sure. So a lot of people who are already in crypto kind of complain about, of course, like onboarding is difficult, mass adoption is difficult.
Yeah.
But for these gamers, they're actually used to jumping through hoops to earn a reward. So and these people are probably used to, I'm playing League of Legends or whatever all day, and I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not earning any money. And then I see this; it's just a set of different rules to learn, and I can actually earn money from it. It's a very strong extrinsic motivator But of course, the game itself still has to work. It still has to be fun, and then then you can earn on top of it. But yeah, it's just learning a new set of mechanics on how MetaMask is used, how to install the wallet, how to kind of exchange a token for another. For a lot of these people, these are basically just kind of different game mechanics that you have to learn to get the money at the end.
Gabby, would you recommend a game that we could like walk through right now? Or also, I know we were talking about Sandbox earlier, which is, that could more help others to like learn about what that metaverse is and like why you're rebuilding like a digital civilization. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a really great parallel you were drawing to like if you're, let's say settlers coming to the Americas, like it's nuts. You're doing it, but it's all digital, which goes back to like Balaji, who I always mispronounce his name, who's the genius that was the CTO of Coinbase. He has some really interesting thoughts on how like there will be like a digital first nation and that this will happen in our lifetime. He'll probably build it actually, and then I'll be a plebe in it. So anyways, but yeah, would you be interested to hop into like Sandbox or do you prefer hopping into one of the play to earn games?
Sure. Before I share my screen, I just wanted to talk about that digital nation. I actually listened to that podcast in Bankless with Balaji recently, and he was talking about a crypto civilization with a digital first nation. And I would say that building this metaverse inside of these games with NFT assets is actually already this digital nation that's happening. So it was really interesting to hear a lot of these concepts from Balaji really playing out in what is actually happening in kind of the metaverses that we have today. Of course, it's still kind of very early in the metaverse space, but the settlers are here, early gold is being found, and it's actually a very exciting time to be here. So I won't play any of these games in depth, but I'll share you some of the games that we've been looking at Yield Guild. So hang on, let me share my screen. Oh. Okay, hang on.
Have you guys read Sovereign Individual? That's Balaji always promotes that.
No, I haven't, but I feel like it's always like top of the book list. I'm like, I'm supposed to read this. Everyone references it.
Yeah, I read it just because everyone references, and it's good. It's like just crazy, like when it was written, how much they were able to predict. So good read.
Really, wow, right. That's cool.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, go right ahead.
All right. So I'm just gonna show a couple of the games that we're playing. So this is League of Kingdoms. So the interesting thing about League of Kingdoms is that it's a super accessible game to play. You can actually download it on the App Store, and you can play it on web as well, which is what I'm doing now. And yeah, it's basically a strategy game like Clash of Clans. You have your base, and then you have an alliance, and then you go up against other guilds. So here is my base, and if you see here, YGG0 is the name of the alliance. So yeah, we're actually a top 25 alliance in this game now, and yeah, and the more that you build up your land, your property, you actually get DAI rewards on the land that you own. So yeah, it's a pretty cool way of doing play to earn, wherein people can spend money on the App Store. And basically build up their base, and then a portion of those rewards go to the landowners.
Wow.
Okay, I won't go into Axie, the game itself, but here's the website of Axie Infinity. So this is definitely the game that I've been kind of most involved in. So I've been playing this since, I would say, late 2018. And I own Axies, I own a few Mystics, I own a bunch of land as well. And yeah, it's been just really an amazing community that has really kind of evolved the concept of play to earn through the last couple of years. So let me show you what my Axies look like. So in this account, I have 676 Axies, and some of them are still babies waiting to hatch, and they can't do so because gas is too expensive. Here are some of the adults, and yeah, you need 3 of these Axies to go into a team. And then when I started Axie, it was actually kind of during the bear market when ETH was going down from, I would say, like 800 down to 100. So it got to the point where breeding and owning a lot of these axes became pretty cheap. So right now, one of these axes, the floor is something like $40 for axes that you can breed. If they're good in battle, they're probably worth maybe some like 300, $500 for an axie. And the mystic ones, which are more like kind of the rare ones that were created on the pre-sale with special parts and cannot be reproduced, they're the ones that are really expensive. Linda mentioned that Delphi Digital bought a few mystic axes for $150,000. So
Wow.
they're more, I would say, comparable to the Gen Zero Pokemon that came out in the late '90s. So I expect these Mystic Axes to be basically worth houses in a few years.
Wow. Holy cow.
Gabby, I know that, so you have a scholarship program for people
Sure.
who can't afford axes, because like $40 to just start with like one axie and then you have to have three is quite a barrier. So like, could you talk about your scholarship program as well?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that organically came around in Axie Infinity was the concept of a scholarship program. And what it actually is basically a leasing program of Axie teams for people who could not afford to buy three Axies. So, buying three Axies minimum costs maybe $120. Usually it costs maybe $200 to $300 just to start playing a game, which is of course cost prohibitive for a lot of people, not just in the Philippines, just kind of anywhere, just to get started in the game. So what happened was that the people who had a lot of Axies, they started creating accounts to lend these Axies over to people who basically had more time than money, and then they would earn using these Axies, and then they would earn SLP, and then there would be a revenue share of the SLP. So typically, it's something like 70% goes to the scholar or the player who are leasing these Axies, and then 30% to the people who own them. So this is actually fueling a lot of the growth in play to earn and Axie Infinity, and it's something that we are doing in a big way in Yield Guild as well. So right now in Yield Guild we have more than 150 scholars, the majority of them coming from Philippines and Indonesia, where the income really matters. So what we do is that we mass breed a lot of these Axies in the YGG account. So we have over 1,000 Axies now. And then we via the use of smart contracts and Discord bots, we basically create accounts and then lend them over to players, and then just facilitate the revenue share. So this is one of the largest activities that we're doing in Yield Guild.
It almost reminds me of like Lambda or all of the developer boot camps where you are on a scholarship, but you will pay a part of that revenue, and the model works so well. Like I do not believe that universities are going to have a bright future. I think that like we're going to see these accelerated programs like Lambda. And so this is so cool. It like reminds me of it. It's just on a different scale, and like you're learning a craft. You're learning like an incredibly valuable expertise, obviously, a life-changing one here. That is so freaking cool that you're doing that. Like that is
Yeah. So one of the ways I like to describe it is that if you're in the metaverse and these games are your different countries, so Axie, you can think of Axie as its own country, Sandbox is its own country. We are the people who are supplying the settlers to these countries and then doing the work. So think of the scholarship program as basically we are kind of Uber for Axie Infinity. Like we have the NFTs, these Axies that these people are driving, and then they come to work, they power up the game, they play against other people, they earn, and then they kind of help build up the economy. And the people who have kind of more in terms of resources, they can help kind of collect these NFTs and then bring them to the people who are willing to kind of put in the time but don't have the money. So it's a great way to kind of really expand the reach of these digital economies.
Wow. Can you recommend how would one get started? I guess actually step one would be they should join Yield Guild, but like I'm curious, like how do you get started learning all of this? Because when I had Jeff on, I opened up a number of tabs and I want to learn to play Axie. But I got to say, every time I look at it, it really looks like a big time commitment. Like it looks complex to me, and I think that's fair to say too. It's not a bad thing. It's just it's not something that you're gonna learn overnight. Like you really like all the even just the language. I was having trouble like following like what exactly it means. So, anyways, to summarize, what should one do to get started with Axie Infinity?
So I would say definitely hop on to the communities of Axie Infinity or YGG. There is a bit of a learning curve in the game if you actually want to win. If you just want to play and enjoy the game, anyone can do that kind of easily.
Mhm.
But if you want to start winning, yeah, the arena, the PvP scene is actually pretty competitive these days. And yeah, it's because people are kind of playing for SLPs. There's a leaderboard each season which lasts around a month, and there are actually crypto prizes for people who place in the top 100 in the leaderboard. So
Mhm.
they partnered in the past with, for example, Aave, gave out Aave tokens. Now it's actually their own governance token AXS that is coming out. So yeah, apart from SLP, people can actually earn cryptocurrency from some of the top projects just by playing this game.
Is there any chance you could do a battle right now? I'm putting you on the spot. Like, no problem if it's too much trouble, but would love to see what a battle looks like.
I can do that on the phone. I don't have it on my PC, so
Oh,
yeah, I won't be able
worries.
to
No, no,
screen
no.
share it. But if I stop my screen share, I can kind of show you what it looks like on the phone.
You know, if you wanted to try that, I guess one other question while we're potentially doing that is you mentioned like, well, if an Axie is good at battling this and that, like, can you try to dumb that down? Like, what makes one better than another? And I mean, you referenced the Mystics earlier, which I understand are like a scarce supply of original Axies that are very sought after. So yeah, just kind of wondering like what makes one more valuable than the next.
So each axis has basically six traits. Two of them are aesthetic, the eyes and ears, and then four of them are basically battle traits. For this one, it's these four traits: pumpkin, leaf bug, serious, and hot bud. And they are basically cards that you play within the game. So it's a combination of these cards that work well together that determines whether basically an axis is good in battle or not. So it's kind of like the kind of hand that you draw, and then you have three axes in battle. This one is a tank, so it has a lot of hit points and a lot of defense, and not a lot of attack moves. So I usually place this in front of the team, and then the other axes are more kind of like the damage dealers. Like this one is a beast axis. Which doesn't have a lot of health, doesn't have a lot of hit points, but has a lot of high damage moves.
Wow, so cool. And when you say a beast Axie, you're not just like describing as like this one's a beast. You're saying
Yeah.
that it's a type of Axie.
Yeah, there are different classes, so beast, plant, bug, and some of them do things like better than others. So some of them have more hit points, for example. Others are faster. That kind of fit certain archetypes in the game better.
Linda, you have more exposure to Gods Unchained based on what we were discussing there. Do you see parallels between the two? Like, I guess, do you feel like you could pick up Axie, or you did pick up Axie easier?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like Axie just reminds me a lot of like a mix of Pokemon and Hearthstone or something, just because like you have these additional cards you need, but then like your Axies themselves have characteristics. So it's actually like quite easy to pick up if you're not being competitive. So I totally recommend just getting on your phone, and I'm happy to just like loan you my Axies, or if you want to buy your own, and you can just like play around with it. It's pretty intuitive. It just kind of, you have to just learn like the initial mechanics, but it's not that complex unless you're like really trying to win a bunch of money.
Gabby, I want to dig into what you're showing here with the lands, but what is the wallet that you use? Like, I think this is something I always forget, that Axie has what made using a wallet a bit easier. It's not the same as me just connecting, let's say, like a MetaMask. Is there something that's a little bit slicker here to use?
So I am actually still using MetaMask on this. But yeah, either on MetaMask on PC or Trust Wallet on mobile.
Okay.
So
Easy.
both
Yeah.
yeah, both work. The mobile application. So the beauty of the mobile application is that you can actually log in without your crypto wallet. You can log in via basically a username and password, and that enables you to lend out your accounts to other people for them to play the game without exposing your private key or your MetaMask wallet. And this enables the kind of scholarship program that we were talking about earlier, wherein I can create maybe 100 accounts and then lend them out to 100 people without fear that people are going to run away with my axes, for example.
What is the application or program for that again, where you can lend axes?
The scholarship program.
Yep. Yeah. And what prevents someone from running off with that? Because don't they have to be able to? I mean, I would think of it like in terms of how I do it in DeFi, that I like lend money into a pool and then at some point I will withdraw that. But in this case, axes are unique.
Right.
So how do I ensure that I can get those axes back?
Okay, so what we're doing is that we're actually giving account access. I'll stop sharing for a bit and I'll show
Oh, yeah.
you. I'll actually go into the game on my phone.
Excellent. Oh yeah, show me. That'd be great.
Yeah. So you can log in. Hang on. Yeah, I'll show it here. So people can log in with their username and password and basically start playing the game. And let me go into a battle
Yeah, there we
and
go.
see how well I can do this, kind of casting it like this.
Yeah, you're doing good. I blew the screen up here, so you're the only one on now.
All right. So I am gonna die, but let me try. Yeah. Let me try. Yeah. So basically, people can play the game without logging into MetaMask. You just log in via your username and password, and yeah, and this is what the battle looks like. And then when you win this battle, you basically win. Hang on, you can win SLPs.
And you're Gabby. Which team are you? Are you the one on the? If I'm looking at the screen, are you the one on the left or right?
I'm the one on the left of the screen.
The left. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the tank is in the front, and then you've got
That's
these other ones that are more skilled, like attackers or whatever the term is, that are behind.
Yep, that's
Very
right. So I'll try to save my tank, which is on the verge of dying.
Very cool. And
That's
by the
fine.
way, are you playing this on? Is this an Axie Infinity app, or are you just playing it on your
Yeah.
mobile browser?
It's a mobile application.
Did not realize that. Wow, learning a lot here. I can't believe I never realized there's a mobile app. I definitely like am one that's always on my laptop doing DeFi or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess the biggest realization there was that when you enable app access to people without necessarily exposing the wallet, it enables easy delegation of the accounts wherein other people can play. And we're going to see this expand to other games in the near future as well because of just the crazy user growth of Axie. Like there were times last year when they were basically growing like 3 to 5% a week. Like it was insane. And actually that growth is still continuing at a pretty fast clip right now. And even through the DeFi summer when gas was pretty bad, because people could play the games without basically interacting on chain. It was only when the SLPs were being synced so that you could sell them for Ether or being used to breed more axes that we were actually going on chain. So yeah, a lot of people were still playing the game even when gas is high.
Gabby, I know that like it's not the easiest to lend out NFTs like ERC 721, and I know you were talking about like a different standard as potentially able to like lease out your tokens. Could you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so unlike ERC20s, where you can basically make them non-tradable in the case of NXM, for example, in the ERC 721 NFT standard, there is no way to make them a non-tradable NFT. So one of the things that we are looking at in the long term is basically extending the NFT standard to create leasing and rental capabilities as a kind of new ERC standard that's backwards compatible with ERC 721, but is able to basically lend them out to a wallet, but basically make them non-transferable, and then kind of tag it as basically being leased out or having kind of payments to the master wallet. So this is the thing that I would say is kind of keeping back the metaverse from kind of just growing by leaps and bounds. Just, for example, just land in all of these metaverse economies, right? Like, what is land if you cannot kind of rent it out to someone else for someone to build on it, right? So you
Yeah.
can't really expect that the people buying kind of hundreds of plots of land were actually going to build out on all of them. So it's really important for the metaverse space to be able to lease out NFTs, starting with land, but it could be Axes, it could be Gods Unchained cards, and I think if we're able to push this standard, this improvement to NFTs, it will really kind of help the NFT and metaverse economy explode.
Wow. So like currently in Decentraland, you wouldn't be able to lease or rent plots of land. I didn't realize that.
No, there is no real leasing right now. So, for example, if there's a service called NFTi where you can collateralize and basically take out a loan on a piece of land, but what it does is that it puts the NFT in basically an escrow smart contract,
Mhm.
which kind of holds it and enables trustless lending. But the bad part is that while it's there in an escrow contract, you can't use the NFT. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
yeah, that's the hard part about all of these services now, where you can do trustless lending with NFTs, is that the NFT itself becomes idle, which is not ideal because you still want it to be used.
Wow, that's powerful. So you're describing with NFTi. Imagine if I own some land and I collateralize it, take a loan against it, but imagine like it would be like a very, very loose lending agreement. Like I'm taking a loan. Someone can take ownership of that and go sell it if I don't maintain my loan. But at the same time, it doesn't render it useless. Like we can still continue to build. Like that's a crazy idea. I mean that like is going to happen. Like that's how everything has gone in DeFi. I mean, Ethereum, crypto, like everything's become that much more capital efficient. That's so crazy. I've never talked with anyone about that. That is, whoa, that. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're supporting a group.
Cool.
There's actually an EIP proposal for it already.
Wow.
It just kind of has to be pushed forward, because I guess the hard part with proposing a new standard is that like a lot of people have to actually use it. So yeah, so hopefully we're able to kind of push this through and have a lot of projects support it. And yeah, once you have rental, then that's when you're gonna see kind of like Sandbox, Decentraland, Crypto Voxels. They're all going to explode in economic activity.
Mm-hmm.
Gabby, is there any chance? I know we walked through quite a bit there already. Any chance you want to show off Sandbox for a moment? Like it's actually something I've never been able to hop in, and I think it's because with Sandbox you have to have a PC, right?
Yeah, so I won't go into the game itself right now, but I'll go into the website and show some
That'd be
cool
great.
things.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It kills me. Like, I mean, I'm very happy with my Mac, but I was like, oh, like I want to try Sandbox badly.
All right, so right now here's Sandbox, and I actually have Smurfs.
Wow.
Let's claim my Smurfs. Yeah, so the cool thing about Sandbox is that they have some partnerships. How much is this? 91 Gwe. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, they have some partnerships with some brands like Smurfs, Care Bear. So there's different a well-known IP that is going into the Sandbox universe, and then you can get them as NFTs. So while it's claiming, it's asking me to create my avatar. But yeah, just look at this video over here. What I like about Sandbox is what it's basically trying to be kind of like Roblox on the blockchain. So, Roblox has been a smashing success, and, my kids play it all the time, and I think they're actually they're going to IPO very soon. But you don't really own the assets side. And when I was actually computing like how much of the value that players were kind of earning from just making content in Roblox. It was a very low amount. I was computing it to something like 30% probably of sales. So the nice thing about having a blockchain-based economy is that the economy itself is more transparent, of course, and because they're NFTs, the players own them. So it becomes more like think of it as a country where the fees that Sandbox is earning from the economic activity is more like a tax that is being kind of played on the ecosystem. So rather than a 70-80% tax, you're seeing blockchain-based economy with maybe something like 4, 5 to at most 10% fees on activity, and it really empowers a lot of creativity for users to for example, in Sandbox there are people who are just making a lot of basically voxel NFTs that they can sell in the marketplace to other people. At Altitude Games, we're actually creating a game called Mushroom Mania that is going to be one of the launch games of Sandbox when it goes into their beta kind of this quarter. So yeah, it's just really a hotbed of creativity, which is really awesome.
And with Sandbox, there's currently no option for those with a Mac, or is that coming anytime soon? Do you happen to know?
I think it is PC first. It's actually based on Unity, so I'm pretty sure that it can support a lot of different platforms down the road. But no, I haven't tried it on a Mac, unfortunately.
I will have to check that out. Maybe I'm confusing it with something else. I think it's Somnium that you cannot use.
Somnium is web-based now, so you can actually play it on basically any browser, and it's even compatible with kind of Oculus browser, so you can view it in VR, which is super cool.
Wow. Yeah. No, this is cool. I've got some homework to do here. I didn't like. Yeah, I think I'm looking at this, and it looks like it might be possible on my Mac with Sandbox, which would make sense. I feel like you don't run into that as often anymore, where you can't use it on a Mac. Gosh. What are you showing here?
So this is the marketplace where I think a lot of these items were just created by just the creator community of Sandbox. Yeah, so there's so much creativity in here.
Wow. Linda, what are you playing right now, or what are your go-to play-to-earn games?
Gods Unchained and Axie are probably the most fun for me, and then I just play a lot of like non-crypto games as well. Dota being one of them, but I just really love how like for example in Dota there's a really active marketplace for your in-game items, and so I really see that like carrying over into all of the different blockchain games and being able to like collect all these different skins and be able to trade them. So I'm super excited as the blockchain gaming ecosystem grows a bunch.
Wow. And do you mind sharing like how many hours in a day might you play, or maybe in like a week? Because I'm just like wondering, like once you start playing these, like I'm curious, like is it just like the video games that I play? Like I've got an Oculus headset and I do love it. I probably only played a few hours a week. I'm pretty tame as a gamer. Like it's hard for me to find time, like especially with my crazy children. But like these games you can actually earn money in. So like I would imagine folks want to find a lot more time to play them. There's a return on it if you're not doing it full time like the folks in Yield Guild.
Yeah, I'm also like I used to use my Oculus a bunch and play Beat Saber because I felt like I was like actually exercising, and so it didn't feel like bad that I was playing so much. I mean, I just with what's been happening with crypto, like lately, I haven't had as much time to play games, but when I was playing Dota a bunch, I mean, like a few hours each night, like it can just be a way to hang out with friends. Like I made actually some really great friends in crypto through gaming. And so you kind of just like have your own little communities and just like sign on every night and see who's on and just like hang out with them. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really big part of the crypto space, just given how much community can be created in gaming and just how fun it is to hang out with your friends in digital worlds.
Yeah, right on. Right. I am the least lonely person right now in quarantine. I have met and interacted with more people, through Oculus, through all of the different, I guess, Yield TV episodes, like through like remote work. I'm very grateful. I've had you really feel for a lot of people in the world, but like it's a really special time, like with play to earn gaming, DeFi in the past year. Like I almost feel like more connected than when before the pandemic. I spent a lot of time trying to visit friends, a lot of time commuting, between those different friends and work.
Right.
And now I feel like I'm just so much more efficient. Guys, anything else that you think we should cover here today in terms of Yield Guild or play to earn gaming?
I would love for Gabby to talk just like maybe briefly on just the mix of DeFi and NFTs and like what are the most interesting things we've seen there. I mean, Avagachi is like an example that comes to mind for me all the time, and I think it's fascinating. But what are you seeing there, and are you incorporating that somehow in Yield Guild?
Yeah, so NFTs and DeFi is super interesting. So I come more natively, I would say, from the NFT space. But I think of DeFi as basically gamified finance. And yeah, I mean, it feels like a game when you're in like Compound or Maker, and then like using all of these. And putting these in actual kind of the metaverse NFT enabled economy is actually just makes a lot of sense, because you're just mixing these things together. So one of the things that really got me going into NFTs and DeFi was a service called Niftex. So it enables you to shard your NFT and basically create an ERC20 token that has that represents basically fractions of that NFT. So I own one of the most valuable axes in Axie Infinity. It's called Almace, which is a unique axie. And I bought him last year for 27.5 ETH, along with a friend. And earlier this year, I basically sharded him, created 10,000 fractions on an ERC20 token, put it on Uniswap via Niftex, and from the initial valuation of 27.5, people wanted to buy a share of it via Uniswap, and it actually reached a high of 800 ETH. So right now it's just a little, I think it's with ETH up now, it's actually a little under 100 ETH. But yeah, it's been crazy where people actually wanted to own fractions of valuable NFTs, and I think you're going to see a lot more of this in the future. Another thing that we talked about earlier was NFTFi, wherein you can basically, it's a lending platform for NFTs, and it's really cool. I've used it both as a lender and a borrower, and recently I basically borrowed 10 ETH against one of the NFT artworks that I own from Trevor Jones. So Trevor is basically one of the, I guess, most successful NFT crypto artists. And
Wow.
yeah, I was able to kind of take a loan for 10 ETH for basically have this NFT artwork in exchange. And if I don't pay it back with interest in a 90-day period, I basically lose control of my artwork. And if I do, I get it back. So it's just really awesome. And we're doing this with NFT artwork now, but of course you can do it with Decentraland, you can do it with Axis. But think of a time when, for example, a lot of physical things are being able to be tokenized and represented as NFTs. What if I have a land title as an NFT and I'm basically able to obtain a loan on that in NFTFi? I think that world is coming very soon.
So nuts. I mean, NFTFi, I actually just learned about that yesterday. That made a lot of sense to me. And then NFTX that we refer to, that just launched in the last 24 hours, right? That's Alex Gaussman, I think is the founder.
So
Yeah.
NFTX is pretty cool as well. So there is this concept of basically wrapping NFTs that have similar characteristics so that you can turn them into an ERC20 token. Before NFTX launched, this was actually done in Axie Infinity, wherein the origin axes were wrapped as an ERC20 token, wherein you can redeem them. So basically, if you had a wrapped origin axie token, you could redeem it for a random NFT origin axie in the pool. So this is what NFT X is doing. So these are the punks, for example. They are CryptoPunks with different characteristics. So they are basic, female, and what happens is that people basically put in their NFTs into that pool and then receive punk tokens in exchange, and then you can basically you can redeem the punk token that you have for one of those NFTs in the pool. So what happens is that if you put this pool of somewhat similar NFTs together and then wrap them in an ERC20 token, you are making them fungible in effect, and you are basically creating liquidity for what is kind of a something that is kind of hard. Um, Typically, it's hard to get liquidity for NFTs because all of them are unique, and it's kind of hard to figure out, which one should I buy, for example. How does one differ from the other? And yeah, putting all of them in kind of a same bucket allows them to be tradable, and and it really adds liquidity to the NFT space. So I think NFTX is pretty cool. I actually bought a bunch of tokens myself, and we'll be seeing a lot more of this in the future.
Wow. Yeah. It goes back to, I think, the way I've heard Stani from Aave talk about it. Just it's making liquidity or making markets out of everything. Anything you can possibly think of, you're enabling someone to create value that they can either transfer, borrow against, do whatever. Because like right now, I can attest to. We would like to buy a home this year. We would like to buy our first home, and talking to lenders about the value of crypto is the most painful experience. Just so stupid, and at the same time too, like no woes for me. Like I feel lucky if we can use a part of crypto funds to get a house, but it's crazy. It's just not recognizable, and all I keep thinking is, screw you. I don't even want to do this. I want to borrow through Aave, or I want to collateralize NFTs and take value against it. Like, screw you. Like, I don't need this. And so I think about right now, we are, it's still our community, as much as we've grown, we're still small. It's still niche compared to the rest of the world. But you think about, I think about your community with Yield Guild, and I think about how transformational SLP can be in terms of wealth for someone to be able to, buy whatever you were describing there earlier. There's a lot of different things there, but it sounds like it's allowing some people to earn, double and triple what they might otherwise earn, but they've got to be able to put that money to work. Like they've got to be able to find a way to spend it. And right now, thankfully, with Uniswap, it's easy to at least cash out on that. This is, I'm just fascinated by this. The NFTX stuff too. Now I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, oh, I gotta dig into this too, and so much. Gabby, Linda, anything else that you think we should cover today?
I mean, there's so many things, but I feel like we shouldn't go on too much.
I guess the last thing I want to talk about is that what we're doing with Yield Guild is that we are turning gamers into investors. So it starts with people contributing their time to to earn SLP or other tokens, and they probably use a lot of that to basically pay the bills. But once they have some extra saved up, they actually do. For example, they buy access the governance token, or they start buying land. So it's amazing to see this transformation where people are turning from gamers into investors. And this is how you build wealth. You start by contributing your time because you don't have a lot of money. You may be borrowing somebody else's NFTs, somebody else's assets to do your work. But these people aren't employees. They're basically working for themselves. And if they earn something extra from what they need to put food on the table, then they're basically putting that back into the metaverse economy and owning a slice of it themselves. So I think that's a really powerful concept that kind of gets lost sometimes in DeFi, especially new farms come up and you have 100 million TVL. People are coming in with maybe hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. We're actually starting with small amounts of money, but spreading that across a lot of people, and a lot of them are coming into crypto, into the metaverse for the first time. But the maybe a few $100s that these people are earning multiplied by 1,000, eventually 1 million people, 10 million. It's very transformational for these people. And I think this is really one of the original promises of crypto, and why it exists in the first place is to democratize earning and money across a broad array of people, and not just the wealthy.
Yeah, it's transformational what's happening right now. I have clearly spent more time in DeFi, but it's been over 6 months now where I have spent at least, I'd say, 5 to 10% of my time like trying to learn about everything going on with now play to earn and NFTs, and it's just nuts. I mean, even the crypto art is it has been such an exciting use case to watch grow to the point where I struggle to find anyone who thinks crypto art is stupid. Now, that's within our community, of course,
right,
because our community realizes, hey, everything has value. And when you allow it to be transferable, when you allow someone to skip the middleman and as a creator, be able to just list that art and have a very liquid market of buyers and sellers, it can really like change lives. But the numbers are just growing so rapidly. I think December is the most, it's the highest month for primary sales so far, even though I think in November, October, everyone was saying this is a bubble, and it's like, no, like this is product market fit. And
yeah,
and
people destroyed December with this 3.5 million drop.
right. Actually, coincidentally, next week, I just actually I literally got a message a minute ago from Tim Kang, illustrator. Him and Beeple are going to come on, so we'll have them on next Tuesday.
Oh, that's amazing.
So Linda, sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
Oh no, I was saying that's amazing. And I thought what was cool about Beeple's sale is that it also included the physical token. So like being able to, I think, display your digital artwork in physical settings is really amazing. And that's like something I would want to have up in my own place. So I really like that.
Yeah, one of the things I was able to do last week is actually buy a Canva digital frame. So
Right.
now I'm able to upload my artworks there and display them at home, and it makes such a huge difference rather than just seeing them on the computer. So for anyone who owns digital art, I would highly recommend buying one of those digital art frames.
That's so cool. How much, Gabby, do you mind me asking, how much do those run?
It's like 400 to 500 bucks.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's more reasonable than I thought it was.
Not
I just bought my parents and my grandmother, who live very far away from us. We bought them these digital frames, and you can send them photos. So we're always texting photos, but now all the photos show up in the frame, and it's such a cool idea. But it's funny, as I was looking at it, I was like, I mean, this is so popular. It's called Skylight, and it was like a Kickstarter, and it was like the Christmas gift of the year, I guess. And I'm like, I mean, again, like this is further affirmation of how excited people are going to get the more that they learn about digital art. Like someone said this the other day, like, I think it'll be funny when Sotheby's gets bought by an NFT platform. I agree. I think it will happen. It sounds nuts, but there's no way. Sotheby's is like Kodak, and digital art right now, crypto art is, it's like a digital camera. It's like an iPhone. Like everything's gonna move in this direction. But guys, thanks so much for your time. Linda, Gabby, this is wonderful. We would love to have you both back anytime. And I want to remind everyone, they can follow you here on Twitter. They should follow Yield Guild as well, which, let me just double check. Yield Guild, is it at Yield Guild?
At
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, really easy. They can go to yieldguild.io as well, which has the links to your Discord community, Twitter, Medium, Facebook, and email. And gosh, guys, anything else? Any parting words of wisdom for folks out there?
I'll see you in the metaverse. That's what I tell people.
Yeah, that's right. I would. Oh my god. Yeah. Any meetups that you would recommend? Well, I'll just get into the Yield Guild Discord. Like, I keep saying, like, where should I go to learn? What should I do? And you're like, hey man, that's why I'm here. Yield Guild.
Discord.
Yeah, crypto voxels too. Like I've been doing more exploration there, and they have a bunch of like meetups and people playing music and stuff in it.
It's so cool. The Token Smart community is wonderful on there. That's what really got me down the rabbit hole with the metaverse. The community of artists there, it's just nuts to see like how close and connected people are, and many of them have never seen each other's faces, and many of them will have never met up in person, but they're, in my opinion, they have better relationships than a lot of the people I know in my life. So anyways, I want to remind everyone then on Friday, we may be doing a week in DeFi segment. So for 2021, as of now at least, Mondays will be DeFi class, which is like a short segment on fundamentals and advanced topics in DeFi and NFT related topics as well. Wednesday, we'll continue to do this interview style sort of segment. And then on Fridays, we're hoping to do shorter like recaps of everything that's happened in DeFi, crypto art. I think with all I'm learning, like I'm hoping I can start to like help people come up to speed on play to earn topics as well. So anyways, we might see you on Friday, but otherwise, thanks so much for joining us. You can subscribe at tv.zapper.fi. Don't forget to try Zapper. Zapper is where you can connect your Ethereum wallet and visualize your whole DeFi portfolio. You can also invest with liquidity provisions and yield farming through our Invest tab. We have Zapper Exchange, which is powered by 0x API. So that's a DEX aggregator. And let's see, other than that, yeah, just thanks so much for tuning in. Gabby and Linda, if you hang on, I'm just going to hit literally the outro video, but I'll if you have any questions, we can hang out a moment there. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for joining. And where did my banner go? There it is. Bye-bye there. Okay. Yep. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.